So we have finally made it to the perfect squares. So a perfect square, when we're talking about a perfect square trinomial, is when we have a certain pattern that we can see here. So the pattern has to do with, we see this, a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. This could also be a plus if this was a plus. So there's two different patterns that we can see here. So if we can see this pattern, it very quickly factors into a binomial, and we just take the first term and the last term, and then because it's subtraction, we subtract. And we make sure we put a square there. So very quickly factors if we have this pattern. So if I have a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, so now it's plus, so this was minus because this was minus. Now it's going to factor, same thing, I do the first and the last, a and b, but this time I do plus, and then there's a square. So if I can recognize this pattern, it makes it so much faster to factor this. So what I want to make sure is that the first term is in fact squared, so yes, x squared is a square, and the last term is a square. Yep, 36 is a square. And then what I want to look at is the middle term. So if you notice, it's not a squared b squared in the middle, it's ab. So I want to take the square root, which is x, the square root, which is 6, and it's x times 6 times 2, which is 12x. So this guy does work. So I can factor this by going x plus 6, and it's minus here, so it's going to be minus here. So you have to take the square root anyway to do this, and then as you're taking the square root of the first and last one, you can just check, does that work in the middle? Yes, it does. All right, perfect. Then it's going to be this very nicely factored form. So I can go x minus 6 squared. And the reason this works is what this means when I have the square. This is like this. So before, when we were doing the multiplication, where we were using FOIL or the area method, that box method, we had first, outside, inside, and then last. So first would be x times x, which is x squared. Outside would be x times negative 6. Inside would be negative 6 times x. So if you notice, those are doubled. They're both negative 6x. Negative 6 minus negative 6 is negative 12. That's why it doubles it. That's why it's times 2. Because it's identical binomials that we're multiplying. So it's just the kind of reasoning behind that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go to the next one. Continue. All right, so now I have 25x squared plus 60x plus 36. So I have a square, 25x squared. Make sure they're both squares, not just the x squared, but also the 25. So that works. And the square root is 5x. 36 is a square root of 6. So if I multiply these together, I get 30. And then double it, I get 60. So yay, that works in our pattern. So we're going to take 5x. They're both positive here. So if I'm looking at my pattern, both positives mean that I'm going to have a plus in the middle, like that. So it's just a very, very quick way to factor. If you can recognize these patterns, it will make it a lot quicker as we move forward and we're doing multiple factorings in one problem. The more we can recognize these patterns, the faster we will get at them. And just being able to get through kind of some of the more involved problems here as we move forward.